Okay, good morning, everyone. How do you measure success? How do you measure success? I measure success by momentum. Most of us measure success by money. Money is a byproduct of a successful moment, but it's not the end all, the be all. And because our society focuses more on money, it's a little harder for the ebbs and flows of life to reach us because most people are, it's almost like you're at a casino gambling, right? And as long as you have a hot streak at that casino, you're going to continue to gamble. Not really my thing, but some people, that's what they do, right? They'll go to the casino, they'll blow a few $100s, hopefully that's all they blow. But if they hit a hot streak, they'll continue to go. And that unfortunately that's not a disciplined approach to success. Success, though, for me, really is building an idea, planning and strategizing an idea, and then continuing that idea until we reach critical mass or momentum, because that momentum is everything, right? Once we reach momentum, then it's a lot easier for us to see the bigger picture. So when I look at what's happened over the last 4 years, and I mentioned it in the room, we talked about it. I talked about how I was going to just invest, $50,000 while I was building the team. That was 4 years ago. And there's many people that know this to be true. Patricia knows it to be true. Carlos Parr may even know it. I think I told him it was about a year later. But Patricia knows, Iris knows, Michelle Roberts knows, and Raphael. All those people were there in the first month, less than a month, couple of weeks in some cases, right? 4 years ago. And so when I talk about things in past tense, I do it because if you don't look back to your past, how can you ever correct those errors that you made along the way, right? We all need to do that. Now, when doing this, I do remember I was talking about how if we brought 20 people together at $20,000, right? That's all it is. We'd have $400,000, which is enough to start our own credit union. And owning your own banking system, because as I say, God is overturning systems, is kind of important. Then I realized the study that I was making on cryptocurrency is technically its own bank without the current system. Because, literally you've got an increase. Can you imagine something going up over 10 times? That's what we actually witnessed Bitcoin do 4 years ago. Within that 12-month period, the same period they talk about the halving happened in May. By February, before the full 12 months, right? Because May is 7, so you got February, that's 2, that's 9 months in. 9 months in, based on the last current projection, Bitcoin went from $6,100 to $69,000. Now, it only lasted there for a short period of time, but how long would it have to last for you to gain your benefit from it, right? Now it sits at 51,000. Now, for those that bailed when it dropped all the way down, I think to 15,000 or 16,000, those people are just not knowledgeable of what the plan is. The plan and strategy is 4 years. But if you had invested when it was 6,100, and let's say you bought 10 of those, even when it went to 15,000, you're still in the money. And you may remember Sam came in and he had several crypto, I think it was like 20 of them or something of that nature. That's what you have the opportunity to do right now. You have the opportunity to benefit. And guess what? You're still early. You got an opportunity to position yourself right now, because what's about to hit in April it can change your natural life over the next 7, 8, 9, 10, 12 months. But you have to be positioned. This isn't the time to be learning what a wallet is. This isn't the time to, yes, you can ask the questions. Those are fine. But what else have you been doing over the last 4 years? That's my question, right? So you should know how to work it basically, the basic strategy of working it. how to cash money in. If you don't really know how to cash money in, you can take smaller amounts, $5, $10, whatever it is. Once that goes through, test it out and say, okay, yes, I remember that. Okay, no problem, right? Because now you should have built up some muscle memory. But as for my wife and I can remember saying, yeah, let's take 50,000. Let's drop it over here. It feels like this is going to be a wise investment. Now, a lot of you know I pray, and I not only study, but I pray a lot, and at that time I was praying really a lot. And I'm seeing that this blessing is about to happen. When it happened, it was the equivalency of, it would be a $350,000 move. Really, it was over 400,000. But my initial plan and strategy was to comfort her. Take out what you invest. Hear what I'm about to tell you. If you were to put some crazy amount in, take that out, right? When the market goes high, and guess what? You're riding on the interest that you've earned or accrued, whatever you've accrued. So you really couldn't complain. And so when I say that, my really couldn't complain money would be in excess, let's say between 320,000 to 350,000 had we made that move. Now, looking back, I know hindsight being 2020, I'm not even kicking myself over the move because it won't destroy my life one way or another. However, I am seeing the wisdom of God, because in this case, I wouldn't have known Mr. Carlos Parr. I wouldn't have known Patricia. I wouldn't have known Raphael, because I know me. Once that money hit, I would have said, you know what, let me go ahead and start this credit union. I don't think these people understand. And that's how most of us are. And that's why most of our blessings are private. We haven't given God enough reason. When you study the prayer of Jabez, the prayer of Jabez is, oh, that thou may bless me indeed, enlarge my territory. Why do you think he's talking about enlarging your territory? See, enlarging your territory is to enlarge your commitment, and it's to enlarge your responsibility, right? You're going to have to be responsible for some things, because you're going to have a lot of territory. Then you have to manage the territory, right? You're going to have to pay taxes on it in our current system. You got to make sure that the people that you employ are being paid in that territory. So your responsibilities are different because you've now enlarged your territory, right? It's not a safety zone. It's not a safe place. It is a learning zone. You learn a lot. The last 4 years, we're all blessed to say, did not kill us, right? We're still here. So really, what harm really came to us? Whether you lost something because you tried or whether you succeeded, I bet most of you can't even remember what you lost. Because unfortunately, that's how life goes. I can't even remember every single heartbreak that I've ever had when I was dating as a young man, because that's how life goes. But had I not had the heartbreak, I wouldn't know how to choose my wife. I wouldn't know how to do some of the things I know how to do. If I didn't fall off the bike, there's no way in the world I would have ever known how to ride a bike. Now I've established the muscle memory. And what really happens to most of us is it becomes very difficult for us to make those moves the older we get. I'm 52. The older I get, the harder it is for Brian to jump. So what I do, knowing the psychology of my brain, is I jump massively. I'm resisting me. It's almost like saying, I got to fight my flesh, right? The flesh wars against the spirit. And then I got to fight my head too, right? Because the head wars against any ambition. It just does. It's how it's naturally wired, unfortunately. It's wired towards safety, comfort, right? Repetition, all those things. So you got to increase the mass of repetition that you place in front of yourself. So sometimes you may look at me and it looks like I'm in a flurry. It's because I want to increase the mass of repetition. I see Dr. Breakthrough does the exact same thing. I've seen it. You'll see Dr. Breakthrough flurry, man. All of a sudden, boy, he's talking about live good. He's talking about this. He's talking about that. And you're thinking, man, what is going on? What's on? He's 206th on the list. Last list I saw. He's earning his residual already from that massive action that he was willing to take. The question is, can we get 20 people to take the same level of massive action? Whatever baby step that is for you is perfectly fine. It doesn't matter. No one's saying, oh my God, holding you to the gun and saying, oh, you got to get 100 people and you got to this and that. Maybe that's not within your wheelhouse, and that's okay. But to say that nothing is in your wheelhouse is to create zero momentum. It's not about who says yes to me. I want 50 people to say no to me because I know I made myself go through the process of hearing no. And I was willing to learn the things that I should have learned. Now, here's the genius of the process. So the spirit shows us, or shows me, my health and wellness is the most important thing. And to be genuinely honest with you as to how I approached, because really when I was 31 years old, I mean, not only was I broke, I was broken. There was nothing. It was despair. And I got in a panic, man. I started realizing that these opportunities were always around me. Now I needed them to work. They had to work. And so it makes it a lot easier to block out all of the negative that comes around you and all the people that are saying, no, it's not possible. And I needed to catch some wins, right? And so the best way to catch those wins in and out of situations and circumstances is to take massive action, to talk to a large number of people, because somewhere in there's a yes, right? And I started realizing some patterns about life and how much is really in my head, because most people are really geared towards the no. They're afraid of the no. The no brings them down. It's hard to, that's because your brain and your mind is not prepared. Now, what I'm really saying is this: I would have never taken the time to know you, which would have caused me never to know Doc Walls, which would have caused me never to know Kevin Williams in New Hollywood, which would have changed my path 4 years later. And yet you still have the chance to take 1,000, couple thousand, whatever it may be. Maybe you don't put it on Bitcoin. You can, but it's not going to give you the same. You'll make 3,000, 4,000, 5,000, whatever it is. You'll have some success. The real opportunity now for the 300,000 to 400,000 is in an XRP or an XRP, or it's in an Ethereum, or it's in something else, right? It's not in Bitcoin unless you have 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, $200,000 to risk. And most people don't. So if you have smaller amounts to risk, Shiba Inu is going to be the deal, right? Dogecoin could be the deal, but that's a 2030, 2040 deal, right? When it hits its maximum peak. But either way, you now understand something, and I do, and you do, and you should understand that you didn't understand before 4 years ago. 4 years ago, we had COVID-19 changing the atmosphere and the system. This time we actually have BRICS, which is bigger technically than COVID-19 because the threat is larger for a larger extended period of time. That's why I keep saying it's bigger. It's always follow the money. That's a routine that you learn in finance. You always follow the money. Now that we have that happening, I want you to understand, when I do talk to those crypto geniuses, right? Those folks, I'm not gonna call them geniuses. They've just had success, right? And I tell them, and I'm in those rooms and I tell them my theories. They all say, man, those theories are backed up by truth. You're right. BRICS is going to make an effect. All this is going to happen. And then they'll give me a tip. And so basically I'm bringing you the fruit from the baby's mouth, from those that get it, from those that have already experienced it. And so now when you say, you know what, I don't think I want to do that, Brian. I know that it's just your mindset, and you haven't fixed your mindset over the last 4 years. I know that because I'm giving it to you now way stronger than I gave it to you 4 years ago. And it worked 4 years ago. Love you all to life. You're going to have to create some momentum, create some confidence, and be prepared for 2024, because I'll make you a promise. If you get prepared, think of 5 investments. I don't care what they are. It could be Shiba Inu. I've been giving you different ones, and they're righteous. Cardano, all those, they're righteous. I give you the background on it. You can look up, they say look up the white paper, but most people don't even understand what that means. You can look up when it was invented. What's its utility? What is it meant to do? See, the Brian from 4 years ago was a Brian who was taking a chance off some new information that he had just studied. I'm only 5 years strong in Bitcoin and crypto and all that stuff. The Brian from today knows what the heck he's talking about, and he's telling you. And now here's the funny part. The Brian from 4 years ago could have hit for 400,000. And this is where the world will say, then that's the expert. It's fine. Doesn't bother me, right? But I'm giving you stuff that really, quite frankly, you would have to study in order to get. There's plenty of people out there giving you good information. The question is, will you pull the trigger? God bless you. I'm so proud of those that have taken their health seriously, have gotten on the Live Good train. You know, maybe you can't afford the Numi train, but here's the deal, right? You make your money in Live Good, and it'll pay for what you do in Numi. And truthfully, for some of you, you may not understand, mine is already doing it. So anytime I pay for my couple of bottles, guess what? I get at least that back in Live Good. All you got to do is follow the plan, guys. That's all it is, right? It's a strategy, right? You don't have to love the strategy. Just try the strategy and you'll see that it works. But that's how you get the maximum amount of health. Now, here's the thing with my experiments, just so you understand. My experiments are as though I drive a Nissan Versa and I don't have much money. And so when I make an experiment or a test, this is for the lowest common denominator in this room. That's why the $50,000 deal wouldn't have really played for most of you psychologically, because you'd have been like, oh yeah, well, you got $50,000, right? Yeah. That's not what that's meant to do, because I would still have been risking. You may have heard me say I was taking money that we were putting on our house, towards our house. So I would have been risking something, right? It wasn't just a simple deal. But as I look at the brick and mortar on this house, guess what? It would still had the brick and mortar. Well, not really brick, but, you know, stucco, whatever you want to call it. It would have had that anyway. And I could have been $320,000 or $350,000 richer. That's what it's all about. Hindsight will be 2020. I don't want anyone to miss in 2024. I don't want you to get to the other side. I don't want you to move on to something else and think, oh, health is not a big deal. You're going to be fanning the flames later anyway, right? You might as well go ahead and do the best that you can while you can. And we have the best of 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 the best. I don't know anything better. You know something better, let me know. But as far as I know, this is the best way to your best health and your best wealth in 2024. God bless you all. Love you to life.